Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space in my backyard. Today I am going to talk about how I take care of my fall plants. And so my fall plants are kind of new. I guess I planted them out beginning of September. It is September the 26th. And so today I'm going to fertilize my plants. I do use fish emulsions. Fish emulsion is very high in nitrogen. I've said that before. I think a balanced fertilizer would work just as well. I do use liquid because a liquid fertilizer is going to go directly to the plants and be ready for them to use. A granulated fertilizer or a powder type fertilizer, that's going to break down over time. So like bone meal and blood meal, that's going to break down over time. Nothing wrong with using it. I do use it in the holes when I plant. I do use side dressings throughout the year. So probably sometime middle of October, I will do a blood meal or even a balanced fertilizer to top dress, which means I just put it on the top of the soil, work it in a little bit, and then I will water it in. This is good to do if you are growing in raised beds or in containers for sure, because in a container, what you give it is what it gets. In a raised bed, of course, it is confined. You do have the soil down at the bottom of your raised bed, but if your plants don't have deep roots, it's never going to reach down into the soil to maybe grab some of the other nutrients. So I'm going to show you how I fertilize, which is not a big thing. It's literally putting some water in and some fertilizer in, but I'll show you just in case you're new to gardening. I also go ahead and pull any of the dead leaves off. Anything that is dying or maybe is laying on the ground, pull that off just to make sure that maybe I can keep the pest away. So I do that. If there's any weeds, a large amount of weeds, then I will go ahead and pull weeds too. And I do have some of those in my bed right now. The other thing I will do is I will mulch my bed, but I won't be mulching my bed until it starts to get a little bit cooler. Today I have gone through, and it rained yesterday, but with the sun today, the top layer seemed to have dried out. When you fertilize, you want to make sure that your soil is moist because, you know, dry soil, the water goes straight through it. Moist soil, it'll work into the roots of your plants. That's how your plants are growing. They are getting their nutrients from the soil. If you are new here, you may not know, I do save rainwater. This is up under the spout of my house, the drain pipe, and then I have other trash cans that I move the water into. Haven't done that in a while though, if I could be honest with you. So essentially, gonna fill my container. So fish emulsion is a liquid fertilizer that you dilute with water. This is a 2-gallon container. Fish emulsions come in other sizes. This is the size that I have. For vegetables, bedding plants, buds, and annuals, you want to put 2 tablespoons to each gallon of water. So I'll be putting 4 tablespoons into this container because it is a 2-gallon container. And then you just want to get something to mix it. My rake was the closest. And I only use 1 container per bed because, like I said, this is well, maybe I didn't say, it is organic essentially. And so you're not watering your plants with the fertilizer, you're fertilizing your plants with the fertilizer. So when would you use nitrogen? So like I said, fish emulsion is a lot of nitrogen. And so you would use nitrogen when your plants were maybe looking a little yellow, or when you're just wanting to fertilize them to keep them going. My plants don't look yellow, but I have been doing this every week since I planted them out, just to keep them going. A lot of the fall vegetables are heavy feeders, and so you could do fish emulsions, you could do compost. You want to make sure that you have enough nutrients in your bed in order for your plants to thrive. I could just wait until my plants start to turn yellow. These beds have a lot of compost in them. I just don't want to wait. And so I've been doing this every week and it seems to work. The plants aren't stunted. They're actually growing really well. Too much nitrogen, too much of anything can be a bad thing. And so plants can stunt and different things like that, but it's kind of all in you paying attention to what your plants are doing. What I'm doing for my plants right now is working just fine. And so that's what I'm going to keep doing. So just to give you a little perspective, these 2 beds are about 28 square feet. I could do 4 plants, 7 rows. If they were, you know, one of the plants that they say you can do 1 square foot per plant, I did not do that this year, especially not with my cabbages, because cabbages get really big. I actually didn't do it with any of the brassicas because they can get really big. So I have 3 plants in each row as opposed to 4. This bed, I believe, is about 16 square feet. Don't quote me on that one. And so I did 2 on each side because the plants get a little bit larger. So moving on to the next thing, you can see there are some weeds in this bed. I'm only gonna pull the really big ones like this. There's some here. Once I go ahead and mulch this soil, this should not be a problem. I am waiting for the leaves to fall off the trees because that's what I'm planning to mulch with. And I have leaves that I saved last year. Somehow there are ants all in those leaves. And so what I'm planning to do is put those leaves into my compost pile when it's time for me to start that. Well, when I get the other compost out, because I still haven't done that, I will use those leaves in the compost pile because as it warms up, it will kill the ants. Doesn't sound the best, but I don't want them in my bed either. Oh, also, look what I have. Volunteer marigolds. I'm gonna pull those out and replant them probably in the flower bed just because they can grow a little bit longer, but they're not gonna go through the fall. Well, they're not gonna go through winter. And this is maybe watermelon is what it maybe looks like. It was also a volunteer. I'm just leaving it. It's not gonna do anything between now and the time that the fall, well, the winter, by the time that winter gets here. So the next thing I'm gonna do, you see this leaf right here? It is really eaten up. It's also almost touching the ground, and so I'm gonna pull that off. I do have slug problems sometimes. I have slug problems more when I was using straw. I'm not saying I won't use straw again. I'm just saying that I'm not seeing a lot of slugs because I don't have straw is what I think. So I'm gonna go through and pull these leaves off. I'm also gonna look while I'm pulling these leaves, and I don't have a lot of them, thank goodness. I'm gonna go through and check to see if I see any caterpillars or any slugs or anything like that. And if I do, I'm gonna go ahead and pull those off as well. One thing that you can do too is leave a plant, and it's called a trap plant. So if there's a plant that's getting eaten up quite a bit, kind of like this dinosaur kale right here, you can leave it, and that's where we hope all of the pests will go to, and then they will leave the rest of your plants alone. You may be thinking, why in the world would you be pulling off leaves that's gonna be edible for you? Because a lot of these plants are also what they call cut and come again. I can come out, I can pull leaves off, and they're gonna continue to grow. And so I will have food, green leafy vegetables anyway, all season long. And so that's why I do it. It's not gonna hurt the plant for you to pull a leaf that's not looking its best. And you can throw it back onto the soil, but when you do that, just remember that you are leaving a spot for a slug or for a snail to come up under and find your garden. So that's totally your call. In a few weeks, I'll probably cover once we get down to like the teens. Not in a few weeks, I take that back. My first frost is not until November. But once my first frost gets here, I will cover these beds. See these right here? I put PVC pipes over them from this end to the other side, and then I put plastic over it. So if it gets really cold, you can do that. The other thing I'm doing this year is trying to leave my plants uncovered to see just how low of temperatures in this area I can leave them uncovered. It's a lot of work to cover and uncover plants every day. And so I watch other gardeners on YouTube, and they don't cover their plants, and they are in zone 7B, albeit not in Virginia, but they are in zone 7B. So I'm gonna see how far I can go this year without covering my plants. The last thing I need to do tonight is to thin these turnips. You have to come in and pull out extra plants, and so that you can space them well enough so that they can grow. And so this spot right here, let me bring you in a little bit closer. This spot right here had a lot of germination in one place. And if we're honest, we probably only need about one plant here. And so what I'm gonna do is just come through. I'm just gonna pull the top off. Actually, they're coming out of the soil pretty easily. So we'll just pull I'm not sure how I got so many in one place, but we're gonna pull those. And you could come through with scissors or something to little snips to do this. But I'm only gonna leave, like I said, about 1 or 2. And they're actually very leggy, so it's possible that I won't get any out of this little spot right here. We will give the chickens a nice little snack this evening. So that's our thinned out turnips. I know a lot of people are about to plant their fall garden out, and so I hope that this video was helpful. It was a really quick video because I was out here working, and I was like, well, I can go ahead and record this too, and kind of do a bonus video since I missed quite a few this month. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you have any tips, please feel free to leave those in the comments below, and let me know how your fall garden is coming along if you've already planted it. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in the garden pretty much every day. Thanks. Bye.